I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us in this spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence and our participation in our service here this morning, we create a higher state of consciousness, rise above all the negative energy we may have experienced this past week, and manifest love. So welcome all, welcome online congregation, and all 101 of us present, and any others that are joining us in the form of spirit. We have today our musicians, musical department, Cynthia Hart and Connie Marshall, who will be producing music as we speak. And least but not least, the greatest and most outstanding Reverend and Master Teacher, Sandra Jackson.
You're not on. Yep. Here, and she usually turns it on for me. Yes. That's what happens when you have to do things for yourself. And so I am just basking in the energy of life today. As I look out, I can see there's energy just floating everywhere. Can't you see it? Can't you feel it? It's in us and through us and as us, and it's around us, and we're breathing it in and we're letting it out because it's a part of us. So as we breathe in and we breathe out, we're breathing in and out the divine energy. Think of yourself as being like in a fishbowl, and there's all this energy around you. And you know what? You're not even conscious of it because you're just so busy using it and doing what it is that you do. And so every once in a while you slow down and you stop and you close your eyes and you turn within and you simply recognize and realize and know that you are floating in the divine consciousness of perfect love, perfect wisdom, perfect creativity and abundance. That this life in which you live and breathe and have your life experience is really the expression of the divine flowing in, through, and as all that you are. So you just stop, pause for a moment, and realize this. Realize that you are more than you have ever imagined yourself to be. You are more, and you are expressing more every moment of every day. Just allow yourself to feel that divine energy. This is the truth of your being. And you recognize it now as you just simply affirm within yourself, I am this energy. This divine energy is flowing in, through, and as me, and expressing itself through my every thought, word, and activity. And I come here today conscious, fully and engaged and aware, thoughtfully participating in this service, knowing that as I walk away, I do so not only from bringing a higher consciousness, but stepping into a greater awareness of the divinity of who and what I am. And so it is. Sit. Ronnie, we were mistaken. There is no bulletin for me.
Here's one.
Okay,
There you go.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let us stand and say the vision and mission. And CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. A declaration of principles for this month. I believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. And if God is self-knowing and you are one with God, then you too are what? Self-knowing. You have the ability to know who you are. And that's why you can say, I am.
I am.
Okay.
And so it is.
And so it is. So with that, our love can change the world because the I am of you is the loving self of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let us sing.
All right.
All right.
While you're still standing.
You can stay standing and sing. Okay. Dorothea, you can turn.
Love, 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 everybody. Love, 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 when it's hard to love. Our loving will change the world. Love, 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 everybody. Love, 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 when it's hard to love. Our loving will change the world. Share, 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 share who you are, and share, share, share when it's hard to share, share. And sharing will change the world. Sing, 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 sing all together. Sing, sing, sing when it's hard to sing, sing. Our singing will change the world. Care, 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 care for each other. Care, care, care with those ones who need care. Our caring will change the world. Find me here, singing with you, heart wide open for what we came to do. Wind in the trees sings the melody true. Love everybody, let the love shine through. Everybody sing love, 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 everybody. Love, 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 when it's hard to love, love. Our loving will change the world. Our loving will change the world. Our sharing will change the world. Yes, ma'am. Our singing will change the world. That's right. Our caring can change the world. Our loving can change the world. I changed it up on you right there at the end. See how I am?
Thank you.
That's called a retard.
Thank you, Cynthia and Connie, everybody. That's a great song. And Our reading is done by Sandy this morning.
Hey, Sandy. Good morning, everybody. And it's another beautiful day in Georgia. Yay for us being here.
It's not a rainy night, is it?
It's not raining. The sun is out. It's nice and cool. And then I've got family in Texas and Phoenix that would say, a little different there. But we're grateful for all the weather we have. This week, look in your bulletin and you'll see it's called This Week's Affirmation. And it says, I am grateful for the waters of life that sustain me. Perfect with all the water that we've had and the water that we need. Water, water everywhere. About 71% of our planet's surface is water covered, yet only a very small percent is usable for drinking and agriculture. Can we repair what we are doing to our planet and the water that all life relies upon to live? This leads into our reading today, and it's called The True Power of Water by Masaru Emoto. We consistently found that water responded to positive words by forming beautiful crystals. As if it wanted to express its joyous feeling, the crystals opened up like a flower. In contrast, when water was shown negative words, it did not form crystals. For example, when we showed water the word happiness, it formed crystals with well-balanced shapes, like beautifully cut diamonds. On the other hand, water exposed to the word unhappiness resulted in broken and unbalanced crystals. That water seemed to have tried hard to form crystals, but it exhausted its strength and crashed, unhappiness slipping away from it. We continue to show a pair of opposite words to the same water. Well done versus no good. Like versus dislike. Power versus powerless. Angel versus devil. And peace versus war. Water formed crystals only when it was shown the positive words. Interestingly, water responded to foreign words in a similar but not exact manner as it did to Japanese words. Water formed beautiful crystals with all the words expressing gratitude all over the world, such as thank you, English, duoxy, Chinese, merci, France, danke, German, grazie, Italian, and kamasumanita, Korean. Water seems to correctly understand the essence of what it was shown. In this case, the feeling of gratitude, and take the information in. Water didn't recognize the word it saw as a simple design, rather it understood the meaning of it. When water realized that the word carried good information, it formed crystals. Perhaps water is also capable of sensing the heart of the person who wrote the word. As we were exposing water to lots of words and taking photographs of the resulting crystals, my eyes were glued to one photo, more beautiful than any other water crystal pictures I had seen. I was fascinated by its beauty. The crystal was opened up strongly, as if a fully blossoming flower. It was as if the water was stretching its hands, fully expressing its joy. The words we had shown to the water were love and gratitude. Since then, we have talked to water with many kind words, showed it beautiful pictures, and played wonderful healing music. But we have never again been able to take water crystal pictures as beautiful as the one that resulted from showing water the words love and gratitude. To water, the words love and gratitude must be the best information. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes, I love that.
Beautiful. I made
Love
copies.
That's amazing. Well, we're celebrating nature this month. So we've got a song everybody knows, and you can sing along with us. We just changed one key word, right?
Yes.
Right? You ready? Ready, set, go?
Yes.
She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole wide world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the wind and the rain in her hands. She's got the wind and the rain in her hands. She's got the wind and the rain in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the little tiny babies in her hands. She's got the little tiny babies in her hands. She's got the little tiny babies in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got you and me, sister, in her hands. She's got you and me, brother, in her hands. She's got you and me, sisters, in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got everybody here in her hands. She's got everybody here in her hands. She's got everybody here in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole world. Everybody sing. In her hands. She's got the whole wide world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. Let's just do it together. Okay? She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole wide world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. She's got the whole world in her hands. And so it is.
And so it is. Yes. Old world. Woo. Wow. Thanks, Sandy. I didn't think about doing that together. That was a good idea. Yeah. So we have, notes if you want to take notes. And those of you at home, of course, you have your own paper. I hope you do anyway. So today we are talking about water. It's like the water of life, the water of life. So that reading comes from the book True Power of Water, and we have a video about it. Yes, and the Japanese scientist Emoto, who did that, wrote a whole book on it, and so that's excerpts from the book, and they go into talking about what vegetables to eat, what meat to eat, how the energy of these things support you, your own physical being too. So it's way more than just water, but it's how water impacts everything. So anyway, we have a video. And it's just a couple minutes long. I'll let you watch that and then we'll talk. What if Pluto hit here? Isn't that amazing? So when you drink water now, you want to speak to it first, right? Tell it to do a good job in you, okay? I love you, water. You're nourishing my body and my mind. Thank you so much. That's all you need to say. Just, remember to say that to the water you drink. And what about the water you bathe in? When you get in the shower, you can speak lovely words to the water there. The water you see in the street, the rain coming down, you can speak to all of that, And what he's saying is that it changes the whole molecular structure of the water itself. Isn't that something? So guess what? Your body is filled with water. It's like 70% water, and your brain is 80% water. Can you imagine? So here's the thing. Let's try this. Let's do this today. I want you to put your hands on your head. It's on your brain. This is where your brain is, Okay, so you can close your eyes or you can leave them open, whichever. But I want you to repeat after me. Brain, you are a wonderful brain. I am so happy and thrilled that you are my brain. Thank you for thinking so well for me. I am grateful for your being the leader of my body and directing all the activities my body performs. You are keeping me healthy, and I cannot say enough good things about you. I love you. You are part of me. I couldn't live without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. Okay. Now you could do that every morning, right? And just wake up. Just, or when, when you're walking around the house, I don't know about you, but I walk from, in the bedroom and I want to get something in the kitchen. And I walk, it's not that far, people, okay? I walk from the bedroom, I get through past I have like an open area. I have an open area, so it's like living room, dining room, all that stuff together. So I walk through there, I look at the kitchen and go, what was I doing? What was it? Why was I going to the kitchen? Okay, let's see. All right, now, let me see. Let me take a couple of steps back. So let's see, if I go back a couple of steps, maybe I'll remember what it was I was going to the kitchen for. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then I get over to the kitchen and go like, now where is it? Okay? Hey, brain, okay? I love you, brain. I'm in the bedroom now. It's like, I love you, brain. Help me get to the kitchen and remember what it is I was thinking of, okay? I mean, it might work. If it's 80% water, right? It's more than anything else. 80% is a lot, okay? That's almost full strength, okay? So it's like, and it said what? Memory. Water has memory. So how about it? We were born in water, okay? I mean, we lived in water for 9 months. We know water from our inside, okay? Not just from outside. We bathe in it. We drink it. We live with it. It's precipitation. It's all around us. If it's not dropping down as rain, it's going back up as evaporation and to come down later as precipitation. Well, in some places, of course, because we're having drought. And so because of climate, we're having a dispersion issue. But the point is the earth is made, what, 71% of the earth is water. Okay, 90-something% is in the oceans. Of course, it's salty and undrinkable. So scientists are trying to figure out how to, because we have created a situation for ourselves where we have all these people, okay, and not enough water. And we need it to have what? Healthy brains, right? Okay. So just think about that. Do you remember in the Bible, they're constantly talking about water. All philosophies talk about water and the importance of water. And given this, I understand now why water is often used as a symbol of the subconscious. Because it's what? It's fluid and it's creative, right? Creation comes out of the water, okay? So anyway, so that's where we are with water, but it's not just water that we're talking about. We're talking about the whole earth. So I have another video for you. And this one is from Wildlife, and it's about our whole earth. Okay. Great.
I am protecting life on our planet.
Day by day, with every single thing I do.
I conserve the world's biggest forests.
I safeguard the rivers.
And oceans.
I stand up for coral reefs.
Rainforests.
Tundras.
Deserts.
And grasslands.
I work with communities in the Amazon, the Arctic,
The Congo.
And the Himalayas.
I collaborate with the biggest companies on earth
to make their processes and their products more sustainable.
I influence governments.
To create policy that recognizes and respects
The importance of nature.
I give a voice to all animals who call Earth their home.
I'm protecting life on our planet. But because I'm with WWF,
I am not doing it alone.
6,000 staff.
6 million members.
In over 100 countries.
For more than half a century.
Businesses. Foundations.
Governments.
Communities.
Individuals.
And one iconic panda.
Together, we are protecting life on our planet.
Including our own.
Together,
anything is possible.
So that's a bit of a commercial for WWF, which is, let's see, Wildlife. Anyway, so, but the thing is, it's very comprehensive, you know, in terms of the whole, all of nature, and I just thought it would be appropriate given that what we're talking about this month is nature. So I want to shift a little bit because a number of years ago, I think it was around 1988, something like that. Anyway, I was living in California, and do you remember did you guys hear talk about the Moonies? Anybody? Because it was a cult. It was a religious cult, okay? And people got caught up in it. And it was shortly around after Jonestown happened, I think. But this was out of Korea. Anyway, they were in California. They had a church or something in California, in San Francisco, and they were inviting people, ministers, I guess what they said is they were trying to keep them from being known as a cult and as a serious religion. And so they were asking, Protestant and Catholic and the other kind of ministers to come to Korea so they could let them know that they were not, what everybody thought they were. And so some religious science ministers found out about it, and I found out about it, my friend Audrey found out about it. Well, here's the thing. They were giving us a free trip to Korea. All we had to do is get a passport. 7 days, all expenses paid, airplane, everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going on this trip. I'd never had a passport. It was my first trip out of the country. And I was like, and it's a free trip? And so we go to ministers' meetings and, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. That's a cult. And I'm like, we're religious science. Why are you upset about this cult? Okay. So my friend Audrey, we took the trip. She's in Southern California. We took this trip. We had a great time. I loved Korea. It was really nice. We went to Seoul, then they took us to Penang, and we went on a bus. We went through the marketplace. I discovered they do bathrooms real different than we do. Okay. The cultural difference was really, But, the thing is that we got a free trip. And so when people were like, well, it's a cult. And I'm like, so I know who I am. That's the difference. Okay? I know who I am. I sat there, listened to them, took notes and everything. I got back home and I was getting calls all the time. Come to this meeting, come to this. I'm not interested. Come to this meeting, come to this meeting. I'm not interested. Come to this meeting. It took about a year before I was not interested. Okay? But I still got my free trip. They didn't take that back. They didn't call me up and say, you have to pay for it. Okay? And I wasn't a part of the cult. You see, we are living right now in a time when so many people are getting down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. And one of the conspiracy theories is that we don't have to worry about the environment. We don't have to worry about climate. It's, it's not something that's important. Nature, we don't have to worry about nature because we have dominance over nature. So we can do anything we want to. And we have this belief system that's, it's operating in that place. But we have to know who we are. We have to know that we're human beings, that we are filled with water and that we need water to live. Stop and think about it. You can hold your breath, for 4 minutes, 5 tops, okay? How long can you go without water? People go without and they start getting hallucinatory, right? They put people in the hospital for being dehydrated. Stop and think about it. And elderly people who live alone, a lot of times they're dehydrated, right? Those of you people who are nurses and whatever, people go in the hospital for dehydration. What is that? They don't have enough fluid in their body. The oxygen and the water, let's just call it water, is depleted in their system. And so they need to be fixed, with intravenous sometimes, depending on how dehydrated they are. Or maybe they just say, drink a bunch of water, you'll be okay. But what happens when they get dehydrated? Your brain gets fuzzy. Why does your brain get fuzzy? Now, you know this because we just talked about how much water you had in your brain. Okay? So if you got 80% and there's only 60, you are not thinking clearly. Right? So that's why people who are dehydrated, Deborah's over there, she knows about this. Okay, she's the nurse, right? Okay, so, the thing is you're not thinking clearly. And so that's why you have to keep water in your body, if for no other reason than your brain needs it, okay, to help you think clearly. So anyway, the thing is that there's a reason that people are being drawn into cults these days. And before we talk about that, I want to talk about the Bible. because in Mark 6, that's when Jesus did the feeding of the loaves and the fishes, right? Well, right after that, he went in the mountains to pray. So when he goes into the mountains, he always goes in the mountains. You notice that? You know why he goes in the mountains? Because he's stepping into a higher consciousness. He's separating himself and he's going up to a higher consciousness that's symbolic, okay? All right. So then he comes back down and the disciples have gone, he's told them, you're going out in your boat, right? So they've gone out in their boat. And what happens is the wind whips up, okay? And it's stormy and everything. And he said, and it says here in the Bible, when evening came, the boat was in the midst of the sea and he was all alone, and he was alone on the land, Jesus. And he saw them struggling as they were rowing, for the wind was against them. The disciples are in the boat and they're struggling against the wind. And in the fourth watch of the night, that's late, I guess, Jesus came to them walking on the water. He wanted to pass them by. But when they saw him walking on the water, they thought it was a false vision, and they cried out. For they saw him and were frightened, and immediately he spoke to them, saying, have courage, it is I, do not be afraid. And he got into the boat with them, and the wind quieted down, and they marveled exceedingly and were astonished. Neither did they understand the miracle of the loaves of the bread, because their hearts were confused. So let's break that down, take a look at it. I already told you Jesus is up in high consciousness. So Jesus has come down, and he's in high consciousness coming down, right? Because he's been praying all night. All right, so now he comes down, and they're out there in the wind. Well, stop and think. You're out on the sea. There's lots of wind. What's going on? It's a storm, right? I mean, isn't that what happens when you got lots of wind on the ocean? You know, it's like it's a storm going on. So there's a storm going on. Stop and think about what happens with storms. You know, I don't know about you, but there's thunder and lightning sometimes, and there's lots and lots of wind, and they are scared of what? Capsizing, or whatever they call it with boats, okay? And so Jesus comes down, he can say, well, I'm gonna pass him by. He's walking on the water. Now, walking on the water, stop thinking he was literally walking on the water, okay? What he was doing is, remember, water represents subconscious too, okay? So he was walking with clarity in the subconscious or the creative mind. He's walking in creation. He is in the process of creating something. What is he creating? The quietness in the wind. And he says to them, because they're scared, he says to them, have courage and do not be afraid. Have courage. They were frightened. Have courage. It is I. Do not be afraid. I am with you. The Spirit of life is with you. Do not be afraid. So when you know that the Spirit of life, that God is with you, do not be afraid. Stop and think about that. Have courage. And then he goes on, he gets into the boat. And what happens? The wind quiets down. Why? Because he's not scared. Okay? Whenever we reduce our fear, the turmoil in our lives quiets down. It may stay out there somewhere. I mean, if this is a storm, the storm might still be way out there on the ocean somewhere or whatever body they were on. But where they are is quiet and peaceful. Now, we have all been in situations when we are quiet and peaceful and everybody around us is just going crazy about something or another, right? I mean, I went with the Moonies and they were all excited about this and talking about that and trying to get us all. And I'm like, Audrey and I was like, we'd get in the room at night and just laugh about stuff that had happened during the day and the differences in the culture and what we had experienced during the day. We were totally, completely out of it. And yet there were other people in our group from other religions who were getting caught up in this stuff. Okay, I want you to be really clear, okay? They were arguing they were arguing with these people about what they believed. Why are you arguing with them about what they believed? Okay, leave them alone. Let them be whatever it is they believe, because you can't change somebody from what they believe. They believe what they believe for the reasons that they believe it. Okay? So anyway, so he's saying, the wind is quieting down. But then he goes on, some people will stop at that point. But read the next verse, and it says, neither did they understand the miracle of the loaves and the bread, because their hearts were confused. So they had just seen a miracle. They had just had a miracle, but their hearts, the spirit of them, not their brains, but their hearts were confused. What is your heart? It's your feeling nature. So their feelings were confused. Stop and think about that. So I was wondering, what is it? Because it's been troubling me for a long time. What is it that these people who believe conspiracy theories, what is it that happens to them that they start believing? Because I've seen people, and they've said, there are people who are well educated and they're believing this stuff. And I was watching some show the other day, and they were talking to these people. They were saying the most outlandish things. They're contradicting themselves, and and it's like, you believe this, and it's like, yeah, they're saying it with a straight face, and it's like, okay, what is going on? So I found an article from NPR, and a woman, guess what? She had been deprogrammed from the Moonies. She goes around now helping other people get deprogrammed, okay? And so she says this, I love it. Anyone can be drawn into a cult or conspiracy because they fill some psychological void. Now remember what I said when I went to Korea. I know who I am. I'm a religious scientist. I had only been a minister for a few years, maybe 3. I hadn't even gotten ordained yet, but I knew who I was. And so I didn't have a psychological void. Do you see? But if you have a psychological void, now what would that be? If you are fearful. Jesus said, be not afraid. Fear is a psychological void. Because what? Fear is a false appearance appearing real. So what is a false appearance? Something that's not real. So here you are in this psychological void of fear, and what do you fill it with? Something that you're comfortable with. And she goes on to say, it establishes this these people establish this camaraderie and the feeling of righteousness and this cause for your life. And it feels very invigorating and almost addictive. You feel like you are fighting the battle for goodness, and all of a sudden you feel like you are the hero. So now what has happened? You've taken control of your life. Okay? It's like, doesn't everybody want to be in control of their life? Yes, we all want to be in control of our life. So this looks, to those of us who are not in the conspiracy, it looks like something's wrong with them, but nothing's wrong. They are using their brain. Okay, not in a way that serves all of us, or maybe even, it may not even serve them, because some people have gone through. Have you ever listened to some of the stuff they put on YouTube? I mean, I listened to one yesterday. It is totally ridiculous. But I am not looking for, I'm not having that level of fear and that draws me in. My life is not, I don't have that void in my life that needs to be filled. Why is this happening now? Because we just had 2 years of a pandemic, right? And people living alone, right? And we talked about isolation. Guess what isolation is? It's a void, right? Because you're by yourself, you're alone. And you look online and it's like, wow, isn't that interesting? So she has a case of someone who, had been deprogrammed, and he's a pizza delivery guy from Alabama. And he says it started, he was in this conspiracy thinking for 3 years, he said. He said it started when he questioned the Black Lives Matter movement and got criticized online. One click led to another, and he would be deep into dark conspiracies and hate speech dressed up as dogma, which felt to him like validation. So now, here you are scared to death. And we've talked about fear any number of times. This fear stuff has been going on in this country for a long time, ever since 9/11 or before. But, stop and think, is this, and people, you have to be careful because people prey on your fears. The fear of not having enough. We have, right now, we have people still talking about how they're afraid of inflation and all this kind of stuff. And yet at the same time, they're working. And they're getting paid more than they ever were. I mean, things are good, and yet at the same time, we still have people who are afraid because they have that fear within themselves, okay? You can't confront them with that's not the truth. You have to just leave them alone, all right? And just keep affirming them. You have a wonderful brain. I love your brain. You think so well. I see you are really doing a good job of thinking well for yourself. Okay? We don't need to criticize them, but we need to take care of ourselves. We need to not be afraid. Watch yourself when you find yourself being fearful. I don't care what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. You're fearful of spiders. Somebody told me they're scared of spiders and scared of snakes. And, you could, little things like that just blossom and blossom and blossom. Okay? What's Jesus saying? Be not afraid. Have courage. And the other one, confusion. Because he goes on to say, neither did they understand the miracle of the loaves of the bread because their hearts, their feelings were confused. So they're not sure, and that's what this young man is saying. He said he started questioning the Black Lives Matter. He's confused. And so therefore, his confusion, somebody used to do what? Bring him down into the dark hole of conspiracies. We don't have to go there. When our feelings are confused, what do? Spend some time with ourselves and find out what's the confusion. What am I confused about? What am I afraid of? Okay, I have a brain that is loved. I have a brain that's intelligent and can think. I have a wonderful, wonderful brain. Use your words. Remember when you were a kid? Use your words. Use your words. Keep and engage your feelings and feel a love for your brain. Well, what did the video say? He said it's the words, but it's also what was underneath the words, the energy. And the energy is your what? Your feelings. Do you see? So it's like you use your words and engage your feelings so that you are not confused and that you're not living in fear, and you find yourself having courage to live your life because you have a wonderful brain that is full of water and waiting for you to affirm it. Right? We affirm everything else. Why not affirm that too? Okay? So, we all, from time to time, have fear and confusion. And so we just need to pay attention when it's going on. And don't go to the internet to get, online with Facebook or something and ask those people questions, because they probably don't have your answers. Okay? But I'll tell you where you can go if you have questions. Just type into Google. I mean, it's like you do that all the time, right? I mean, if you type into Google, one of the things you're not going to get is I have never gotten conspiracy theories in Google. I've always got some kind of answer. And the interesting thing is somebody has asked that question or something similar every single time. It's like, what? You mean I'm not alone in this thought? Other people have the same question, right? But there's places where you can get information without going to, sources that are not going to, they're going to validate your unconsciousness. Let me put it that way. You don't want to go to sources that's going to validate your unconsciousness, your unawareness, your confusion. You don't want to go to sources that are going to validate your fear. Your brain is set up that if you start feeding, remember the negative, if you start feeding it that negative, fearful stuff, guess what? You're going to have that experience of the negative and the fearful, and your brain is going to do what? It's going to get like this. It's going to go shrivel, 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 shrivel. Because that's what the picture said, right? Remember evil? Stop and think of the people who have gone down that hole and they've gone out and shot a bunch of people. What was the Uvalde shooter? What kind of brain was he using? He had enough conscious space to go out and wait until he was 18 to go get a gun to shoot everybody, a high-powered rifle gun, not just a little gun. He went out, he had enough, but what feeling did he have that went along with the fear that he had that created the ability for him to go out and do all of this? Think about it, not so much from the world experience, but think about it from from the internal place of where he was. Because guess what? He is not alone. Other people are doing the same thing. They're having those experiences wherein they are fearful. Their hearts are confused, their feelings are confused, their brain is confused, their hearts are confused, they're feeding and being fed negative thoughts and ideas, okay? They're taking all of that in. They have to act on it, people. Just like loving, when we're loving and joyful and happy and we're feeding ourselves that, we have to act on that. So we look at these people and we want to criticize them. They are following along with the same principles we are following along with in a loving manner, but they are using them in a negative way. Are you following me? Is this making sense to anybody? Yes? No? 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 Okay. Let me explain it again. Let me think about it and how to say it in a different way. Garbage in, garbage out. Remember hearing that? Garbage in, garbage. You cannot get something that smells great when you put in something that does not. So if you put in to your brain, if you are walking around being fearful of everything and scared of stuff and afraid that life is not going to be what you want it to be, what's going on all the time? You're just scared of everything, right? And there are some people who are. Stop and think, let's just use the pandemic, because and COVID, really. The COVID created the pandemic. Oh, by the way, do you know that there's a new virus now in China? Yes. Yeah, I got you. I knew I could get you. There's a new virus, and it's in China. And what they're finding is animals have sicknesses and humans get bit, or somehow the feces get contaminated in the water, and we drink it. And guess what? We get those diseases, okay? So they got some new disease in China. And then, right after the COVID, what comes next? Monkeypox, right? And the various strains of COVID, right? And all these diseases. Now stop and think about the people who are scared to death of being sick. If they're scared to death, what's happening? They're thinking about being sick. They're fearful of being sick. And see, some of these people are walking around saying, I've talked to people who say, well, I'm not taking that, and I'm not worried about COVID because I'm taking care of my immune system, okay? I'm doing this and that. And what they're doing is mitigating their fear. They're scared. And so because they're scared, they're doing extra stuff. How do you know that they're scared? Because you're doing extra stuff. If you're not scared, you're doing what you normally do. Stop and think about that, right? If you are people who are scared to drive, they don't go on the freeway. When I moved here, I was like so surprised because I asked somebody to come to my house who lived in Atlanta, right? And so she asked me, what the directions were. So I said, you go, 285 to 400, blah, blah, blah. And she goes like, I don't drive on the freeway. It's like, what? I grew up in California. You always drive on the freeway. That's where they take you driving on the freeway to when you're learning, okay? So that was a strange thing. And it's like, it takes you twice as long. And she was willing to take twice as long because she's afraid. And her fear prevented her from getting on the freeway and she'd rather take a longer time than get on the freeway and face her fear. Is that helping? Okay, so, the thing, and then we get confused. What is confusion? When we've got people telling us this, and yet our experience is that. Okay, so they're confused because they watched this man. Now, let's take it out of the realm of actually happening, okay? But they watched this man feed 5,000 people from 5 loaves of bread and 5 fish. That does not compute in my brain. And then they watch this man walk on water, which they cannot do. That does not compute in my brain. I am experiencing things that I have never, ever imagined could happen, let alone see somebody do. That creates confusion. Okay? So here the disciples are, and they are confused. And Jesus is saying that confusion in their feelings is showing up as fear in their lives. And he's saying, don't be afraid. There is nothing to be afraid of. Why? I am here. Who is I? I am. He says it. He says, what does he say? Do not be, I can't find it right now. But he's saying, have courage. It is I. It is I. Capital I. He didn't say I am. He said I put the I am in there. Okay. But Jesus always said he was not for himself. He was representing God, right? His words were God's words. So I am here, meaning the spirit of life, is always, 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 always with you. What was the prayer this morning? That you are like in a fishbowl, that God is all around you. God is within you. You are never, ever separated from the spirit of life. So if you know that, then guess what? You don't have to be confused or afraid. When I went to Korea, I was neither confused nor afraid because I knew who I was. Audrey, my friend Audrey, she knew who she was. And so she was not confused either. And that's why we could get in bed at night and laugh and talk about what had happened during the day without getting drawn into it. Or after we came back, neither one of us got drawn into it there, neither. Do you see? So when you know who you are, Jesus knew who he was. These guys, they're just getting, this is chapter 6. They got what, 20 chapters left to go? They're just beginning. Okay? But all the way through, even up to the crucifixion, they still are having some level of confusion, right? Because we all are. They're not alone. They're just examples of us at a lower level of consciousness. At our lower levels of consciousness, we are confused. We are fearful. And that's why we use things like, I have a wonderful brain, to move us up in consciousness and awareness and realize that the truth of who we are is spirit. And when we know who we are not confused or afraid. And so we can stay at home alone in isolation and not get involved with something that is harmful to other people because we just don't believe in it, right? Does that help? If not, we'll talk. Okay? But, the basic thing is that what you believe, you experience. So if you're living in fear, you will experience fear. I promise you, as day follows night and night follows day, if you are living in fear, if you are calling other people disgusted and disgusting, and you're calling people names and you're calling them out and what are you doing? That's negative stuff in your mind. Start looking at them and go, I know that they're confused, but I love them anyway. I mean, we can do that, right? They're a little confused, but they're still lovable people. Okay? Let us turn within. There is one life, one life, one unified, whole, and complete life. And that life expresses itself in form, in a multiplicity of form. It expresses itself in the oceans, in the mountains, in the rivers and the streams. It expresses itself in all forms of water. It expresses itself as it evaporates and it precipitates. It expresses itself as it is distributed around the world as water. It is that water of life that is flowing in us and through us and as us. And just as that water is within us, we can see and recognize and realize that that water is actually spirit expressing itself in the form of water. And we know right here and right now that there is a truth within us that is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer as we bless ourselves, as we speak kindly about ourselves and to ourselves. That we look in the mirror and we love ourselves and we are joyful that we are alive. We give thanks for being alive and for knowing who we are. And we can simply say, I am that I am. I know who I am. And I cannot get drawn into any conspiracy because the conspiracy I am involved in is the one that says, I am one with spirit, I am one with God, and God will not play me false. And so I rejoice this day as I know that this spirit of life, because we live and move and have our being in it, we are never separate from it. And so we leave this day, we walk through this day knowing who we are and having it come back to us in forms that we can, is far, even far beyond our imagination, because God always wants more for us than we want for ourselves. And so we rejoice and we are thankful that this is the truth of who and what we are as we release this word into the law, knowing it is done right here and right now as we individually accept it and release it and let it go. And so it is. Okay.
Thank you. I think I got it.
All right.
I got my 80% water working there finally. I have a song for you this morning by Casey Musgraves. It's a really lovely song, and I want to share it with all of you this morning. When it rains, it pours, but you didn't even notice. It ain't raining anymore. It's hard to breathe when all you know is the struggle of staying above the rising waterline. Well, the sky is finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing, but you're stuck out in that same old storm again. You hold tight to your umbrella, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow floating over your head. If you could see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors, yellow, red, orange, and green, and at least a million others. So tie up your boat, take off your coat, and take a look around. 'Cause the sky is finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing. You're not stuck out in that same old storm again. So let go of your umbrella, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow floating over your head. Tie up your boat, take off your coat, take a look around. Everything is alright now, 'cause the sky is finally open, the rain and wind stop blowing. You're not stuck out in that same old storm again. So let go of your umbrella, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there's always been a rainbow floating over your head. There's always been a rainbow floating over your head. And it'll all be alright, 'cause there's always been a rainbow floating over your head.
Oh, wow. That's perfect. Yes,
perfect?
yes, 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 yes. Don't you just love how Cynthia knows what to sing? It's just perfect, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I only give her titles, so, I mean, it's not like I called her up and said,
It was
like,
perfect,
Cynthia,
wasn't it?
yeah, this is what I'm gonna talk about. Most times I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. That's why I don't tell you. Okay, all right, so, good afternoon. Whoops, what did I do with my program? Right, okay. Shall we have some affirmations here for our conscious giving? Freely I give with a feeling of abundance, knowing that my gift blesses others and myself as well.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I'm so grateful, I am so blessed.
Thank you. In our Thanksgiving affirmation, I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, our community, and our world. Okay, so let those not just be words. Because, remember? Heart, mind, together. And so, in September, which is coming along rather quickly, actually, it is 1 month from this weekend, because this, right? Okay, today's the 14th, so this is September 10th. It's like, right? So this is a Saturday, and we are doing a family yard sale. So start looking around your house for the gently used items that you would ordinarily take to Goodwill or some other charity. I hate to take from the veterans, but just this once.
It's okay.
Okay, just this once. And I say that because I don't know about you, but I get letters, I get requests for veterans to come pick up in our neighborhood. Yeah, and kidneys and other people. But my granddaughter had a bunch of stuff. She was like, "Can you take this to Goodwill for me?" And I said, "Can I take it to my house and we can use it for a sale?" She said, "I don't care." Yes, okay. So she has a couple of lamps and a little corner table thing, and yeah. So there's some nice usable things that you can. They're gently used. So do not bring them to the church. No, and but hold on to them until September 9th, and then you can bring them to the church, or you can bring them early on Saturday morning. We'll be giving you times and stuff like that at a later date. And for those of you who are online, don't think you are out of this. No, 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 no. If you want to have a yard sale at where you live, go right ahead and donate some money to our church, or you can just say, "You know what? I just want to send you some cash." We'll accept that too. Okay? All right, so here we go. That is going on. We have board meeting today, and we are talking about some exciting things, and they're exciting, and so I don't want to tell you because they're not quite solid. But one of them is the little book by John Walker called God in the 21st Century. It's a good book, you guys. It's a very good book. I started reading it this week. We're going to have him come as an author and speak to us. He's in California, so it'll be online. Guys, hey, online, okay? We'll have to be online too. We'll probably be here, but he's going to be online, and we're all going to watch up there. So, but it's a really, really good book, and it's so good. We just have to decide what part of that book we want to discuss. And so we'll be talking more about that in the future. And we'll be also talking about Dorothea's book too, but that's a surprise, a sort of surprise. Now that I just talked about it. Okay, that's our service for today.
Yes.
Yes, remember, love your brain. I love my brain. I love my brain.
I love my brain.
Okay.
I love your brain.
I love your brain too. Yes, okay. I accept that. Yes, okay.
I don't get to get yours still. Okay.
We get to keep our own brains, but we get to love each other's brains. Okay. So our community affirmation: we go forth today knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. Only good goes from us and only good comes to us. And so it is. And so we sing the peace song at the end of service, which is something that people used to do years ago, but we started doing it because of the war in Ukraine. And so when you think about that, please do think in terms of not peace, because remember, peace doesn't bring a whole lot of, it does good water stuff, but what is better? Look at those people and say, "We love you and we bless you and we thank God for you." Okay? That's all you need to say. Okay?
All right.
All right.
And one more thing, Sherry Henley will be here next week.
Sherry's coming next week. Yay!
Yay! We all love Sherry. I'm going to be out of town, and she's going to come and take care of you all. So don't miss that, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Turn it off, Dorothea.
Are you ready? just walk with